Hey there, hello, ho there. It's Jeff Carter. I'm welcoming you to another Degrassi poll videos, and I've done 5 of them. I I do a normal Degrassi poll and see what you guys think is the best thing. So if you see this and you don't know, I have a playlist called Degrassi Shooting and Other Degrassiisms. I know it's not affirmed, but I go through a lot of stuff. So what happens is that I did a Degrassi poll video. I need one Cutter poll video. It should be Degrassi poll video. Sorry. So I on Thursdays I poll, like, I try to get the Reddit community to do polls and see what the best is and all that. The first one was about the 10 villains not named Rick. Like, who was the biggest villain in the Rick Murray situation not named Rick? And you said Jay, which was obviously who I picked. But second on that list and number 3 overall shocked me. It was like you put Raditch there. But I guess because villainy is different in anyone's lexicon, things could happen. Second one was Emma's best ship. Like, you know, who was she with? And of course, I kind of figured that Emma and Sean were number 1, but I was wondering what number 2 was, and I can't remember what it was. Was it Spinner? I think it was. Anyway, Degrassi poll video 3 was the best Emma phase, as in the best Emma, like, pretentious Emma from the first season. Seasons 2 and 3 Emma, the overreactionary, nosy, triggered Emma. I also talked about zombie Emma from season 4 after Rick nearly killed her, and then boy crazy Emma from season 5 plus, and college Emma, which was the best phase. And poll number 4 was the best unpopular opinion for the Rick Murray storyline, and you said that Emma was desperate to be with Sean after the shooting. That actually beat out when the one that Jay and Spitter were basically trying to get Jimmy on their side, and that's why they kind of had a hidden agenda to get Jimmy hurt by Rick. And then the 5th video was the 4 horsemen of the Degrassi universe, who's the best, because I did a video of that 2 years ago, and you all voted Holly J, which was either you liked Holly J or you just couldn't stand the other 3, that being Emma, Claire, and Maya. So yeah, I can take it. So anyway, one of the poll videos I decided to do was the top triggered Degrassi characters. Well, I would do a top 10. And basically what I did was I decided to do it as a top 10. Now, of course, Reddit polls only give you 6 options, which suck. But, that's okay. So I figured 4 of them out from 10 to 7, and then let the Reddit community get to know the top 6 and all that. All right, so here is the list. Okay. Number 10 is Drew. Now, the reason why he's triggered is because, remember, top 6 is the poll. 7 to 10 is my own thing. Number 10 is Drew because of his mother. It seems to me that Audra basically gets Drew to do stuff by basically getting under Drew's skin, knowing that Drew is going to try to disprove her. And I think that one key example was when Drew was with Bianca and getting married and all that. And then basically Audra comes out with the fact that she figures that Drew and Bianca should get married. And Drew figures that, he doesn't want his mother to get on his mother's getting on his nerves, so basically he calls off the wedding. I wonder if Audra did that on purpose, knowing that if I'm okay with the marriage, then Drew won't be, and Drew will probably drop this whole marriage charade. And he did. And let's not forget season 14, finally, like the last episode before they went into the next class format, is that Drew got in trouble for a proposal to Becky, and Pill tells him not to go to prom. So Drew decides to obey Pill and not go to prom, and then Audra tells him that, you should be spending time at the prom. Would you rather be at barbecue with me? And then she gets Drew to go to save the prom because Dallas booked the wrong date for a boat. He booked it a year in advance. Well, you're too late. So what happens is that Drew gets the stuff. I originally thought that he got the stuff at the school and then threw it at the school, but no, he threw it at the dot. Thankfully, he's done it. Unfortunately, though, Drew gets in trouble. He's told to tell on other people, but he refuses to, and Pill basically throws the book at him, saying that I have to make sure that the students know it's my way or the highway. So basically, they do, but the graduating class pull out a "We Love Drew," and Pill basically said that solidarity towards Drew, and Pill got eliminated and all that. Now, of course, I didn't realize that they were going to bring next class in, and then Simpson comes back principal. And Pill, I think, got booted because, well, one thing, she was supposed to be the interim principal, and number two is that she probably forgot that Drew's mom is a part of the school board, that she could tell her higher ups what happened, and basically they would have ruined her. And Snake probably was cleared of all the problems in Degrassi News because he didn't know anything. Anyway, number 9 is Eli. Eli's bipolar problems come to play, but basically keeps trying to get towards Claire. He wants to be with Claire, even though Claire doesn't want to be with him sometimes. So Eli decides to try to fight Fitz at Vegas night in season 10 for Claire's love, and then basically he crashes his hearse to get Claire to come to the hospital, but then Claire realizes she can't do anything anymore, so she leaves him. But I think Eli was a decent character, but it seemed to be he was triggered a lot. Number 8 is Tristan. Now, it was tough between 8 and 7, all that. But anyway, Tristan was basically triggered in a sense that, he was not happy that someone would go after his boyfriend, especially in season 13 when he has an attraction towards Miles, but Miles is with Maya. And in addition to that, Maya spills the beans on Tristan being with Mr. Yates, the English teacher, saying that it was wrong and all that. Tristan was upset, thinking that Maya had some kind of jealousy towards him, saying that he tells Maya that you have guys fawning over you. Why can't I be with one guy? He says, but he's a teacher. He's predatory. And besides, Winston was being groomed too. Tristan was upset. Tristan forced Maya to apologize to him in season 14 in Paris. No, sorry, in season 14 to get back to friendship. What a dick. And Tristan was upset that, Miles wanted to be with Maya. And it's like Tristan's not helping Miles with his issues with his father and all that, and then Maya has to overreact. So basically, he's scum in a sense. In season 16, it's not completely clear if Tristan was forced to try to calm the protest around Throwback Thursday by Simpson because Simpson didn't want his grand thing about the Degrassi reunion ruined. But I think that Tristan was probably put up to it. Also, the fact that he wanted to please Holly J because of how he hears about her presidency and all that. And Tristan was in a coma for season 17 or next class season 3, and everyone cheered for it. I mean, Tristan deserved better. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Number 7 is Caitlin. Now, I couldn't really find a triggered character in the Degrassi High Next Gen, the junior high days. I would say Liz, too. Not Liz, about anti-abortion, but basically, I don't think she was really that triggered by things. I mean, she was Spike's friend and all that. And Liz was upset that Spike got taken out of a busboy job because of Spike's appearance, even though that she knew that Spike had the date right for the interview. So anyway, yeah, that was kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, Liz could have been one of them. But I went with Caitlin because Caitlin seemed to always overreact to things and all that in junior high and high, being triggered and trying to save the environment. Was upset that Rick, not that Rick, the Rick that was abused by his dad in junior high and all that was and Wheels was trying to join stuff. They didn't care about the environment. They just cared about Caitlin. So anyway, Caitlin was always overreactionary towards Joey's problems. She was upset when Joey told Caitlin at the end of junior high that he couldn't go to the dance with Caitlin because he failed to get above a C in French. However, Joey's parents do talk to Caitlin about it, and they do realize that Joey was trying to tell Caitlin these things, and Caitlin blew him off. But then, Joey's dad allowed Caitlin and Joey to go to the dance, and then that's when the fire happened. I mean, Caitlin had a right to be triggered when Claude left her high and dry during the animal protest, and Caitlin got community service and probation. And that's when Claude basically decides that he tries after Caitlin, but he fails, so he decides to kill himself to avoid things. I made a video a while ago saying that Claude could possibly have done this to Caitlin as a way to make Caitlin anxious and all that. And Caitlin was triggered, emotionally triggered by Claude's death and all that. And she was having nightmares. But Joey set her straight. Joey tells her that basically Claude did this on purpose because he knew that he could get into Caitlin's head by emotional means. That's kind of like what Rick did to Emma. But yeah, Caitlin does much better. I mean, Caitlin in the next gen, they basically did her dirty, kind of. And Caitlin was triggered by the fact that Joey had a relationship with Sydney about selling Joey's house. And Caitlin buys the house to basically stay with Joey. Weird. Alright, so here are the poll, the top 6 in the poll. Number 6, I think I'm doing this right. Hang on 1 minute. Yeah. Number 6 is Radich. Now, he only got 6 of the 129 votes. Now, why was he top 6 and not Caitlin? Well, basically, I do a lot of things due to next gen and like next gen to next class. And how triggered he is. He is more triggered than you think he is. Radich doesn't really get triggered until Emma in season 2. The reason being is that Emma, Ashley, and a few other people want to do something about GMO foods. Radich tells them they're doing a good presentation, but because of budgeting and the fact that they almost don't have a calf, he can't do anything about it. But he says he's sorry. Emma mistakes that, and it's understandable because Emma doesn't know anything budgetary things. But anyway, Radich gets triggered when Emma decides to do flyers. He takes them away, and Emma was willing to concede, and then all of a sudden that happened. I know Emma will be on this list, so I better save the Emma part of the conversation for her lights. But anyway, Raj was upset that Emma protested outside school grounds, even though that she wasn't doing it on school grounds and she thought she was safe. Raj demands Emma apologize for everything she did, all the commotion she caused. And Raj was totally upset when Emma decided to, Emma did apologize a little bit, but she basically said free speech and it's worth being suspended over. And Raj basically suspends her. I think he's just trying to say that, she had the gall to say that, I might as well do it. And, Raj was triggered because he figured that the students were going to rebel against him. So Raj needed to calm things down. And partially, in a sense, that's what the Saturday detention in season 3 was about. To me, I figured that Raj was just trying to make the school better and all that. And someone said that, you make a good point and all that Raj possibly was trying to get control back because of what Emma did in season 2. But, Saturday detentions are real. I mean, Raj could have thrown suspensions left, right, and center, but then that would have made it more likely that he was triggered and he was trying to rule with an iron fist. So he does the Saturday detention, and it takes Nate to calm Raj down, basically saying that they're upset with what they did. You can't just hurt them. Like, detentions during the week is usually the go-to. And Raj isn't too happy about that, but he gives in. But season 4, in the Rick Murray situation, he was really triggered, especially twice. Well, once, the first time by Emma in Mercy Street, when he's upset that Emma is trying to take a stand against Rick being at the school and says, this isn't any of your stupid crusades. I'm warning you, stay out of this. It's like, geez, Raj. He went to his memory bank and said that Emma didn't deserve to be part of this. This isn't her problem. This is a problem. Domestic violence is a problem. And that's why Emma did the Orange Ribbon campaign. Well, not just that, but also to get rid of Rick and to make friends because, she loves Manny and Liberty. So Raj was upset. nothing he could do about it because, it was within the rules. But then he got triggered by Snake. Now, a lot of people said about Snake and Raj in the media room after in the lockdown. However, what people forget is that there was a deleted scene in which Raj is ready to throw the book at Spinner and then tells Rick he can go home. Rick says, I can unlock her. And Raj goes, okay, be there. And then Snake comes up to him and says, what's your plan? And all that. And Raj says, he can't do more harm now at home than here. What about the day after and the day after? What I think is this isn't um, this isn't daycare, and making friends is not part of the curriculum. So I think he was upset that Snake had just basically dissed his moments and all that. Snake has got on Raj's nerves, and especially in the meeting room, that Snake thinks that Raj may have underreacted. Raj does make a point that says he didn't know that one student was going to overreact to some paint, but he should have talked Rick down from the ledge and should have listened to Rick, although Rick was his own worst enemy. So I think Raj basically, was upset that Snake would dare question his authority. And especially with Dracula, that Liberty and JT thought they were putting on a good play. Raj says, we can't do Dracula because of what happened to Rick. And they're upset that Raj is probably creatively stifling them. So they write a mock song. Raj throws him into money detention. And then I think the next day after that, he's officially done at school and he's upset. He does get to make a farewell speech and all that. But of course, he doesn't tell the students why he's being thrown out, although the students probably will know themselves. The fact of the matter is that, after that, Raj was never seen or mentioned again after season 4. Not even one passing mention. Damn. He did deserve his fate, I'll say that. But, also the fact that he didn't take constructive criticism well from anybody, and that was his downfall. Anyway, number 5, there was actually a tie for 4th. Which was unusual. I have a tie. So, in the fairness of the fact that one of the 2 people were from next class and no one else was from next class, I'm going to put that person higher up. So, surprisingly, Maya gets in 5th place. So I'll put Maya officially 5th. Now, Maya was really triggered by the fact that a lot of things happened post-Cam. Like, she had an attraction to Cam while being with Sig in season 12. Sig was not too pleased with it, and basically Sig forced Cam to be reactionary, got Cam's number, and basically knew that if he made Cam overreact, then Maya would probably be with Sig. Maya doesn't do herself any favors by basically defending Sig and all that. And Cam gets in trouble. So Cam wants to meet with Maya afterwards with a stuffed doll, and Sig pops up and says that stay out of Maya's life. Maya seemed to be, after Cam's suicide, just indifferent, saying she'd rather do her stuff. And then at the memorial, she just said that Cam was selfish for killing himself. Like, I know he had problems. He should have just talked to me and all that. I would have helped. I think in a sense she was probably just shaming everyone else who should have helped Cam out, especially Simpson. But then it doesn't take long to realize that Maya is kicking herself, and Maya blasts at her mother and her sister, that being Katie, that, he broke up with me over a text. Why didn't he ask me to help? And I'll never be happy again. Like, Maya was upset. Season 13 was not good for Maya because Zoe slut-shamed Maya. Maya wrote a song about Zoe and got herself suspended. And basically, there was a chance for Maya to go after Zoe and all that in the courts, but basically Maya didn't, because her mother said, you have to be the bigger person and stay out of this. And of course, her mother grounded Maya for a thing. Maya says, I was being cyberbullied. It doesn't matter. You have to be the bigger person here. Zoe got into Maya's head and all that, and Maya was upset. She got triggered. So anyway, she then decides to take a mature approach and try to watch out for her friends, especially Tristan, but Tristan didn't understand it. And then, she was with Miles. Now, of course, she was triggered when Miles had an affection with Zoe. And Miles says, "You're supposed to be with me. Work through Miles." And breaks up with him. But then Zoe and Maya, during a tropical storm, actually end up bonding and they understand each other, saying that, Miles is the bad person. But by season 14, she got triggered when, she's with Miles. And then basically, when Miles has his father problems and ghosts Maya, like make sure Maya can't see his social media stuff, even though she sees it posting, "God, please kill me," when he's sick and all that. Maya's like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." Sig and Zoe try to come her out of it, but Maya says, "I can't let this happen again." Like, she doesn't say much about Cam after his death, but you could tell she was emotionally triggered because she imagined Miles jumping off the balcony, just like Cam did, to try to injure himself so he wouldn't play hockey. And she figured something was fishy. She wanted to go get psychological help, which she did, but basically she overreacts and tries to help Miles out when he's in trouble for driving under the influence of weed and accidentally crashing a car, which was Dallas's girlfriend's car. So Maya was put in her place. Thankfully, Mr. Hollingsworth had enough clout to get Maya out of trouble, but Maya is told by her mom and the officer that it's okay to be with Miles, but and you even fault adults. What's wrong? Maya could have saved herself a bit of grief by basically stating that, Cam's death affects me so much. I think she would get more sympathy, but basically her mother and the police don't give her much sympathy and basically tell Maya that you can't help people who don't want to be helped. And basically Maya tells Miles that you need help and you gotta figure it yourself. I'm not gonna help you. But after Degrassi News, Miles says, "Hey Maya, check up on me every so often." Maya says, "Nah, you're good." And then Maya, was triggered by the wave of anti-feminism in season 15. She becomes a feminist and basically ruins Hunter to the point that Hunter decides to take a gun and go after Maya. But thankfully, Miles stops him in his tracks. And Maya was triggered by, the bus crash at the end of season 16 or next class season 2. And all of a sudden, like she has all these suicidal thoughts in her head. And Cam came back in her life. We thought that she was done. Everything was done in season 14, but no, it got back. A lot of people said, well, depression goes away and then it'll come back. So Maya tries to kill herself in a tribute to Cam as she puts headphones on the bus and then takes some pills and wishes to go to sleep. She can't do it, and then she's thinking she's doing something wrong, so she just decides to jump off the roof. But Sig and Esme find her on the roof, and thankfully, well, the pills kicked in, and basically Esme saved Maya's life. And Maya goes through season 18, going through her things. But she was emotionally triggered when she accidentally got Sig to the prom instead of Esme being with Sig, and Esme hurts Sig, and then she figures that she did something wrong and decides to stay home for graduation. But Grace prevents her from making a dumb mistake. And Maya feels good about herself. Speaking of Esme, that's number 4, is Esme. Well, they both got 13 votes. So anyway, Esme was really triggered and all that. She had problems because her mother killed herself right in front of Esme's eyes when Esme was 10. And then, she was upset over the gory pictures of Tristan from the bus crash. Miles says that we can't forget about Tristan. But yeah, you can. And, she was upset. She basically wanted to be with Miles. She blackmailed Miles a couple of times. She was triggered angrily when the fact that in season 4 of Next Class that, Esme figured she was a hero. But people stopped being with Esme and actually gravitated towards Maya. And she was upset. And then she decides to try to destroy Maya because, everyone's paying attention to Maya, but not me. So she tries to destroy Maya's credibility. And then she enters into this polyamorous relationship with Sig and Frankie to try to be controlling and manipulative. That's being triggered. When you're triggered, you are basically manipulative and all that. Esme starts to beat upon Sig at the prom and at graduation, but is basically put in a, a facility, like to talk to guidance counselors. And Maya did the right thing. Yeah. The worst part is that we didn't know about Esme's problems. She could be bipolar. She could have had anything else. I know. Anyway, number 3 on the list is Ashley, who got 16 votes from this. So Ashley surprised me a bit. I figured that Ashley was kind of triggered in the early parts of Degrassi, so I figured I'd put her in the list. And she got 3rd ahead of Maya, which shocked me. Anyhow, Ashley was this girl who had to deal with a new step sibling, Toby, because her mother had to marry his dad. Yeah, because Ashley's dad ended up being gay and married someone else in season 4. So Ashley had to deal with that family issue. She had to deal with her dad being gay. She had to deal with the fallout after she decides to take ecstasy at the end of season 1 to be with Jimmy and embarrasses herself to the point that no one wants to talk to her. Ashley's losing friends left, right, and center. She tries to be with Sean. She tries to be with Jimmy. She tries to do everything, but basically she can't do anything right. And it's not all Ashley's fault, in a sense. Season 2, it's Paige's too, because I think Paige used the power of her queen bee status to make sure that Hazel and Terry didn't really stay with Ashley. And I feel that Ashley lost her friends because of Paige. I did an unpopular opinion on that. I remember that. Anyway, Ashley decides to turn goth while meeting Ellie, and, it may have been a way to get back at Jimmy. And Jimmy said, I like the old Ashley better than the new Ashley. And then Ashley basically was trying to turn goth so that, and was upset that Jimmy would think she was all that. So she was upset. And then all of a sudden, season 3, she goes downhill. She's with Craig, which is great, but Craig serially cheats on her with Manny, gets Manny pregnant. Ashley decides to blurt out the news in front of the whole school. And I don't blame Ashley at all. I never do. Like, Ashley had every right to be upset that Craig would do this to her. So basically, she triggers herself into a song calling Craig scum and all that. But Craig manages to win her back with a song of his own. Like, how did Craig pull it off? And Ashley just fell for it. Ashley could have proven herself as a strong, independent woman, but she basically was putty in Craig's eyes. I think she just wanted to have a relationship. I don't know. But of course, the feelings don't last long. Season 4, when Craig goes bipolar, Ashley does stay by Craig's side, but then Ashley decides to go to England with her dad, and Craig goes off the rails and all that. I don't think Craig was really triggered. I think Craig was just emotionally upset. So basically, Craig is all by himself. Ashley comes back in season, is it 6 or 7? No, I think season 6 for some reason. And basically her character was just being with Jimmy, trying to reconnect with Jimmy. And then she gets upset when Jimmy does a rap song and cuts her stuff out. And basically they cheer for Jimmy more than her. And basically, Ashley's not too happy. And she flies under the radar. Number 2, with 37 votes, is Emma. So, yeah. Of course, Emma would be the most triggered. And number 2 is Emma. Emma would definitely be the most triggered. I mean, after all, she basically makes mountains out of molehills, if you will. She gets upset. Well, in season 1, she doesn't really get upset, except for a few items. Well, she makes a mountain of a molehill when Liberty is being comforted by Armstrong. Because we later find out that Liberty has dyscalculia, which is like the math version of dyslexia. And she just can't understand things. Emma takes it as affection and then bumps into Terry, and then basically Terry and Hazel spread the rumors and Armstrong might be in trouble, but Emma decides to go to the principal's office to clear Armstrong out because she didn't know about this. And then she finds out that that Liberty had dyscalculia, and she got bit by Liberty, basically saying that you should go back to saving the environment because being a good friend sucks. And I understand that. But here's the thing, though. Emma, after what happened to her in the premiere episode of Next Gen, being catfished and all that, she was just trying to protect Liberty because she thought that, she didn't want Liberty to fall into the clutches like she almost did. And then when Manny joins Spirit Squad, Emma thinks that it's truly sexist, even though Paige says, we're going to have boys on the team. But sexism and gender is a different story. Sexism doesn't equal gender. And Emma says that basically cheerleaders are made to be sex symbols, and basically guys are going to take advantage of them. So she tries to help Manny out and tries to make sure Manny doesn't get sexualized. But that fails miserably. Manny's not too pleased with Emma and all that, calling Emma jealous. Emma basically said that Paige is going to lead you down a dark path and don't come running back to me if anything happens. But Manny does run back to Emma, and Emma accepts her back. And then season 2, like her mother is dating her teacher, Mr. Simpson. So Emma gets upset. I would be too if your teacher now is dating your mom, and basically Emma fears for what her school life will be like. But she does accept Snake. It takes a while, but she does. And that actually led to the science fair when Emma beat Liberty for the science fair. Liberty was upset. Liberty knew that Emma didn't deserve to win, and she found out that Snake was one of the judges, and basically tells Emma that the Emma I know would not um, win like this. And basically, you know how rumors can ruin you. A rumor ruined me last year. So basically, Liberty just got under Emma's skin. Now I can understand why Liberty was upset. But Emma was going to try to fix this problem without Liberty's bitching. So yeah, perfect. So the fact of the matter is that, you know, that's what happened. But Emma did win the science fair fair and square. Yeah, fun. And then she got upset when Spike was ready to abort Jack because she ended up being pregnant just before Spike and Snake's wedding. Emma says, "You can't do this." And Spike says, "I don't want a second accident." Oh boy. That's really triggering Emma. Emma said she needs to do something and decides to go to Snake's bachelor party and beg Snake not to let Spike make a big mistake. I mean, I know that she should have stayed out of it, but abortion's a hot button topic with Emma. Can't blame that. Can't blame Emma. Emma was also under stress because Sean was invited to the wedding, even though that Sean and her were basically over. Her hair was sucked, the cake sucked. She was just trying to get in control. And yeah, she made a mountain out of a molehill, but abortion is a hot button topic. And then the whole Raj thing that she thinks that Raj wasn't willing to listen and basically was shooing them off, like her group off. So she does the flyers, gets them taken away, and then she waves the white flag. But then there was this cafeteria commercial, and then that really gets Emma's stander up, and she accidentally starts the food fight. And then she gets in trouble, and then she basically decides to change her feuds on GMO foods. Like, okay, how about this? Like, we could agree to disagree, but then the free speech thing happens. And Radish is not too pleased with Emma basically blackmailing him on the video system. Emma thinks what she did is right. Like, Emma deserves some blame in this whole thing with Radish, but Radish, by being triggered and being a little bit of a dick, kind of makes Emma win out in the end. Season 3, she has a problem with the fact that while she's getting a new sibling in the world, that she wants to know more about her father. But Spike doesn't help her out. Caitlin doesn't help her out. Nobody seems to help her out. So basically, she snoops around and finds a Shane McKay, but he's a black doctor. Okay, but then she goes to the alumni thingy, my Bobby. That Snake did, and finds out that he lives in a facility in Stouffville. She's shocked to find out that he lives in a mentally deficient place because of what happened. Of course, we would kind of know if you watch Degrassi Junior High and High about Shane. But the fact of the matter is that, she was upset. She ended up getting in trouble because she was trying to catch the train back to from Stouffville back to Toronto, but failed. Joey wanted to know what happened, and he looked concerned when Emma blurted out that she was looking for her dad. Spike makes no qualms about it. She doesn't help Emma out. She's upset with how Emma went behind her back. But Snake, to his credit, decides, you know what, Emma deserves to know, and tells Emma about what happened to Shane, and that basically Shane's parents didn't want Shane involved with the baby. And then Shane took acid at a concert and somehow went off a bridge, accidentally or on purpose, probably by accident. I mean, why would you try to kill yourself if you're on acid? The acid hits your brain. So basically, Emma then realizes her memories of Shane are wrong. And then Shane is upset over the fact that Spike's with um, Snake because, Emma gave Shane her address. And then Emma calms Shane down by basically saying, you and my mom will never meet again. I mean, Emma does forgive Spike for being prudent towards that. But then season 3 is when Manny and Emma have their problems. Emma thinks Manny's over sexualizing herself and trying to get out of her cute phase, which is terrible. Manny takes it the wrong way and basically thinks that Emma is just being prudish, but Emma is just trying to look out for Manny. Manny ends up pregnant, and Emma probably is kicking herself for that. And Emma shockingly decides to stand up for Manny, even though that Manny tells her she's getting an abortion, and that's not good for Emma. But Emma realizes that, it's Manny's choice. But a couple of things lead me to believe that that might not be right. Number one is that, Manny talked to Spike about this whole baby teenage mother thing. So maybe Spike relates to Emma some stuff. And number two is maybe in a possible way that Emma is trying to be the bigger person and trying to make it all about herself and say that she's the hero and try to save Manny from Craig's clutches. But of course, it all blows up in season 4 when she's triggered by the fact that Liberty and Chris might get back together, and Emma's like, what does that make me in the school thing? It's like, why does she care about what the school thinks of her? Manny decides to go behind Emma's back and tell Liberty these things. Manny and Liberty break off from Emma. Emma has no friends and is easy prey for Paige and her group, and basically Rick, for that matter. In season 4, not having friends, it put a trigger in her. And, she was emotionally triggered by the Rick Murray situation. That she was just basically zombie Emma for a while until Secret. She got gonorrhea, and for some strange reason, that actually was the catalyst to get Emma to realize she's not who she thinks she is. Season 5, she was triggered into an eating disorder because of Snake's misconduct with Hatzalakos, and Emma needed to take control because her life was falling apart. And of course, she had to keep the secret that she was with Peter. But thankfully, though, everything works out. Peter helps Emma out. And then Sean comes back in Emma's life in season 6. It's like, wow, cool. It's like, wow. So Emma doesn't know what to do, but ends up being with Sean because Peter screwed up the relationship and all that. And she's upset when Sean wants to go to the army. And of course, she was super triggered when Manny seemed not to give her the time of day to talk about the JT stabbing that happened steps from Emma's house. I mean, Manny could have just met with Emma, talked in secret and private and all that stuff, and, Emma would have probably cooled down. But no, she just had to be overreactionary. And I don't blame Emma. I figured that much. That, Emma wasn't mad about the fact that JT was being stabbed. She didn't have much interactions with JT. It's just basically that Manny was leaving her, and basically she was afraid to lose Manny as a confidant. But, Emma and Manny become friends, and I think that's the last time either of them screw each other over. So, yeah, and all that. Season 7, she was triggered by Purple Dragon's policies. Basically, that she needed to find her voice and be the cause girl that she lost it after season 4 and was naked. That's funny. And, she was triggered when Kelly decided to go to the Yukon rather to be with her. And she's upset. And, of course, it's revealed that Emma's been chasing friends because no Manny and no Liberty. She's just useless in her mind. But number one is Claire with 44 votes. It was actually closer than I thought, but Claire was number 1. I mean, how else should she be triggered? She was triggered by, the Shep expelling Connor for being different and all that, and for Shep's policies to make popular people better than nerdy people. That was one trigger that I liked. Excuse me. And the fact of the matter is that, Claire did the right thing. She exposed Shep. Shep was put in sensitivity training, and all was forgotten, in a sense. And then you got yourself her relationships. Like, Eli, she was upset when Casey decided to dump Claire off for Jenna. Um, she was upset that, Eli would be so manipulative to try to get her back by crashing his car, or her, well. And she was upset when her parents were divorcing because Claire was brought up that marriage was forever, the Christian faith. And then she was upset and wanted to go to a weed cult. And she was upset that her mom actually married her boyfriend Jake's dad, which meant that they were step siblings, which meant that technically Claire and Jake couldn't be together, but Claire still wanted to be with Jake. I think she was just lonely and she was trying to forget Eli. Of course, the one trigger thing is her monologue saying, "Did you forget about me? 6 months is a long time. Did you just flip a switch and pretended I wasn't there?" I don't know the whole line, but it just made Claire trigger happy. And Katie thought that Claire was always triggered. Exactly. Claire was upset. Being having cancer, having her editor at the magazine try to grope her, and she was really triggered when Pill told Claire about the fact that she has to get over the fact about her miscarriage. And Claire's like, "I didn't tell you about my miscarriage." Claire was part of student council. And then Pill said, "Well, I heard over the cameras." And then when Claire is about to be valedictorian, she decides to go in the video system and tell the students about the policies with the cameras and all that with the audio. Is that, I can't be a part of this thing. And Pill says, "You have a good thing to be a politician, but around here, you're nothing." So she decides to smash the cameras. She loses her student council spot. She loses the valedictorian thing, and she serves a couple weeks suspension, according to Winston. But that was a good thing because that kind of caused the downfall of Pill. I just wish we knew anything about Claire after season 14, but we never did. Kind of sucks. So anyway, yeah, Claire was really triggered. Ella was really triggered. And Maya didn't make the top three. Kind of pissed me off, but predictions are there for a reason. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.